And we are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of something new. This is something I'm going to try out. You can see I have a little bit of a different setup going on. But this is just so that I can work some ideas out and, you know, work on some parts of the game that I've been thinking about making. I've already got some models going. Got some painted, got some not painted. Um, and for today, I am going to work on it's a design that I've worked on already, but I would like to solidify it and make it something that would be interesting or fun to actually see within the game. To start off, I think it's kind of difficult because I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible so that as the creature comes to fruition, you'll sort of be able to see what's going on. But it's in concept an enormous entity that houses life that is similar to its shape. So you can have what I've got already drawn down as like a sort of preliminary sketch. It's just this enormous, like human golem made from living earth that's going to house an entire ecosystem with, you know, forests and cities built within and caves within its chest. Just all sorts of cool stuff. But for now, I'm thinking let's just get started. Let's just get started. I'm gonna get a little closer to the edge. So what I've sort of already worked on is the head shape, which definitely is going to change as I work on it a little more and get some more ideas going. But for now, this is sort of like the castle. You have front. I don't like that actually. And you have these little teeth almost. You can put little windows in there if you'd like to. You can bring this out to be a sort of star because stars are cute. And at last, you can bring this sort of jawbone-esque thing. So what this is really, I should have done this first. Um, it is the like head of the entity, and it's going to be Gigantamasaurus, some may say, with its little shoulders going out this way, its body being roughly enormous, and sort of in this sort of design that I have set up within its rib cage, there exists an entire sort of ignore that. That's like the spinal column sort of thing that's keeping it up and afloat. But within this area, there's a sort of forest that the people can hunt in. They can cultivate land if they'd like to. They can do whatever they'd like. So you have this little forest in here, and before I shrink it down, I'm gonna work a little more on the head. See what kind of designs I can get going. Because I originally started out with a sort of flat, almost Nausicaa-esque, like like the demon fellas. But as I've worked more on the design, I've sort of started to really enjoy the concept of like having enormous spires upon its skull. And that is exactly what I'm gonna do. So what I'm gonna do is shrink the head down quite a bit. That means I can go here, select, shrink it down quite a bit. Um, that should be fine there. Let's go back to this layer. So it's going to be a bit blurry, just because I shrunk it down. But this is the general design for the skull of one of these types of creatures. And mind you, there can be many, many different types throughout the different lands that really just honestly, let's get a new layer. Let's turn down his opacity a little bit so that we can sort of focus and get a nice, let's bring down the size a little more. So you can get a nice little sketch going. So this is all very rough. I am no professional. I'm very new to sort of digital art in its entirety. So this is all going to be very rough, but at the same time, very fun to go through and work on. Um, so we got his little cheekbones. I don't know how I look drawing. Um, hope it's not too strange, but some ideas that I've had were that the top of his head could be sort of like cragged, like a sort of like a crag sort of crown atop the greatest of its type, greatest of its kind. Um, with these being in the front, perhaps furrowed over the eyes like a crown, but also potentially just baked into the skull, sort of like Bart Simpson. But I don't want them to be uniform and I don't want them to be that smooth. So I'm actually going to get rid of that and then bring the opacity of the original skull all the way down because, you know, why not? Sort of really start to bring out like the cragged, disheveled, sort of broken face of the top. Because these creatures are made of living earth. Um, and for now, it's definitely I really like the idea of it. Um, but in the back, you see the shoulders are all the way down here, and I really need them to sort of let the head rest. So I'm going to make another layer. Mind you, this is all just rough sketches. We're going to see how it really turns out um, among the later, more defined sketches. And I really should have gone harder into the design aspect, but whatever. We're here now. Why complain? So here, among the sides, maybe you have like a little settlement here. Since they're up so high, maybe you have a little windmill sort of thing going on. But all made from this sort of living clay. And once you reach the shoulder, these will be sort of like shoulder pads that allow for the joints within to, you know, rotate. Definitely like around here within the body, there should be a sort of developmental thing. Take that as you want to, but this area is sort of reserved for the nobles and the people of high class who can survive lower oxygen sort of, you know, sources. Sadly, he's a bit askew, which that might actually work perfectly. So we have maybe a outpost along his shoulder. We have a tower, like it looks a bit like a, you know what, but it is a spiral tower, like a lookout tower, almost, that is higher than most, if not all, of the land that's previously been created for this creature. And we're just gonna really quick bring down the shoulder. There's no need to have all that. We can get rid of this, and that is more like it. Okay, so now we have a place for this shoulder. Since it's higher up on the Titan, we can have his shoulder doing a different thing. Like, I've decided that these giants have a sort of stasis effect in which once their body fully matures, the upper half of their body no longer moves. So once they reach a place in which they find their body is best suited for their environment, they do not move. So what I'm sort of thinking of here is letting his chest, his body, and his arm intermingle at this point, so that this is not real, and so that these creatures sort of have more space to live within and to grow on. Because, mind you, these are enormous. Like, this is the size of a home. Like this, that's like a house. So these really are just enormous giants who are tasked with keeping, you know, their hosts or their inhabitants alive. So this is sort of like a forest, but there also has to be a lake because, that would be cool. So maybe we get some sort of Bob Ross thing going. Don't worry about the skeleton in the back, because who really cares about that? But maybe around here we can have like a little lake of his fluids that just sort of pour out in an almost waterfall fashion. And you may look at this and think like, oh shit, like maybe he's holding his guts in, and yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he is. But you will never know, as you do not know him, and I will never know, as I am his obligatory creator. So, to get to the sort of city aspect that I had within his body, this is all looking very rough. This is all looking very like childish, sort of mediocre. I think what I'm gonna do to bring this a little closer is to basically I'm just gonna shrink his head. Um, and this should be good. I don't know how this tool works, I'm not gonna lie. Whoops. Sorry about that. So circle this. If we're adding, we can go under here. And that should be good. Let's shrink. Oh, what the fuck? Why is this not working? I guess I just have to do it all in one, which is a bit annoying, but actually no, it's nope. There we go. Okay. No. Why is this happening? Um, I don't know. I really don't know. But I might just have to this, this. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't actually have to do any of that. Okay. So I think to make his head more, I don't know, I guess better. I don't know if better is the right term, but to make it fit a little better, I think I'm going to shrink the head a little bit. Which that's fine. You know, there's no need for anything to be concrete now. Especially with, so much going on. So you can have these sheer rock faces that within have windows. So below these rock faces, you have sort of darkness, darkness, and you have a little window. Mind you, I'm very, very bad at digital art. So this is sort of like an experimentation, I'd say. And if I find out that I don't look good from that side that I'm like recording with, I'm gonna delete the whole video. Okay. That's not all I would do. You know, I'm not him, thankfully. Can sort of bring this out and in. So these are the sort of the host slash. This one's a bit low. I think I'll bring this one up. So these are the inhabitants. These are the inhabitants of the stone giant. They live in these like let's just drop a little sketch. So if we're talking about him going sideways, and this is his chest, obviously an enormous form is carved out because he has that. So within you have these sort of these these halls that connect inside. There's going to be, I'm also going to draw more a little lower so that these can connect like almost pipes. So within the giant beasts, there are rooms and labyrinths that the people inhabit, like little almost blood vessels that were formed within the giant. Whether they were made by humans or humans just inhabited them is entirely up to me, um, as I get to choose. Um, but you will never ever reach the top of one of these beasts if you start from the bottom. unless you climb atop some sort of winged foal and soar through the skies, abandon to the wind your body useless before this flying creature, you will never ever reach the top. But that doesn't really matter because end of the day, he's just a little guy. Like he's not gonna hate on you for not ever talking to him or worshiping him or saying hi, because that's stupid. Um, but throughout his sort of chest area, he has numerous more pores in which humans reside. This is where you're going to see a lot of air. So within this area, if the humans have developed enough, of course, you're on a giant walking beast, so you're probably not going to develop too much in the ways of technology. But if you do happen to develop windmills, this is where you're going to want to put them if you want anything useful. Because, mind you, this beast walks. The clouds are about like there, I'd say. Um, so you have this sort of ginormous beast that walks through the lands of the wonder. And the wonder is a very specific place within the game. It's this enormous tree stump, this enormous, what do they call them? I forgot what exactly they called them, but they are these huge crystallized like tree stump. This one huge crystallized tree stump that was potentially from the tree of life. So what I'm doing here is I'm debating whether or not this giant is reaching to the heavens. And that is an enormous sort of decision to make. So his legs are going to be nothing special. Just humanoid legs, if not a bit stronger. Um, and yes, the legs, I think I do have to make them longer. Um, so these are sort of the types of beasts that you encounter when you're walking through the wonder, through the land of of something past life. You see just these enormous beings, these guys that look like they're wearing, bell-bottom pants and loving it loving it, honestly, loving it. So you have cracks that form over the years. You have toes that form into ginormous stacks of stone. And you have these sort of muscle fibers that are made from dirt and stone. As you sort of look deeper and deeper into these creatures, you see that they're really not alive. They're just figments of something else's imagination. And that's sort of wonder. Wonder is this place where you are lost. You are lost in this enormous tree sort of wasteland where the trees that once were aren't any longer. The tree of life has died, and from it new things have sprung. Whether or not they're alive, that's philosophical debate, but I'll leave that one up to the people when I play the game or when I make the game entirely and let people sort of make their own conclusions about what they find. Because ultimately, that's all that really matters. Letting people come to their own conclusion and trying to like force your own conclusion on someone is one of the stupidest things you can do. Um, so you'll see his legs, they're just normal legs. Of course, when it comes to the other wild beasts, there are going to be predator and there are going to be prey. These are mostly just observers. These giants sort of stalk the lands of the dead tree, and maybe they're gonna try and find a way out, but probably not. Why would they? Why would they want to leave? This is where they find comfort. This is where they find reason. This is where they find purpose. So you're sort of tasked with you're tasked with removing the purpose from one of these. So how you go about it is entirely up to you, but the plan is at some point along your travels, you are going to face something that you have no concept of. You have no way of knowing what it is. You have no idea of what it's doing there. Let's move the head a little more. Mm, no, the freeform. No, that would have been funny though. So I guess I just gotta move him. Okay, there should be fine. Let's see, because yeah, there should be fine. Let's shrink him a little. Whoa! Why did that happen? I don't know. Let's move his head. Okay, better. Much better. Much better. So, as we delve into this sort of this final area, this last hurrah of spectacle, this moment that every creature's been looking for, this time where experience is necessary and action is everything. You are tasked to rid a giant of its purpose, whether that's an animal beast giant or whether that's a humanoid one. You are tasked to get rid of it for the ultimate reason of defying wonder, of sort of embracing death and defying wonder. You have no reason for this thing to believe or to exist. There's never a reason for something like this to exist. But it does. So you are tasked with sort of being the bad guy, doing the bad thing that may or may not be necessary. And also, it's just going to be cool to fight a giant of this proportion because you have to choose how exactly you fight a giant of this proportion, which ultimately is your decision. I don't know how this is showing up. I hope it's not showing up too bad. It doesn't look like it's showing up too bad, but I really do like the idea that this arm is sort of like broken and lost among the sea of parts within the earth. This is sort of just like this is a lost relic of days of old. This thing has lived far too long and it's has no real reason to, honestly, has no real reason to keep living, but it does. It does. Um, right now I'm not using like a hand guard or anything because I do not know where one is. However, you know, I think I might label this video like draw with me or something like that. Like let's create, let's draw, like something sort of along those lines because a lot of people never have a reason to create. And I think it would be wonderful to give at least a little bit of reason to someone who might not have any. So you know, ooh, get your pencils, get your paper out. Like think of something grand, think of something wonderful. You can listen to my voice, or you know you don't have to. Of course, I'm not gonna make anyone do anything because that's stupid. But definitely I highly encourage you to make something that you genuinely think is interesting, something that might wean away your passing tides. Um, I'm how to make this castle not look like a dick. That is what I'm trying to figure out. And I think I know kind of how we bring out the sort of bottom. Of course, it's going to look like one nonetheless, but at the top we can have another tower spire that simply, yep, that's about right. That is about right. And right now I'm only working on details. I'm working on scuffing him up, making him look a little rowdy. Um, you know, bringing out the sort of gritty nature that follows this beast because it's made of dirt. End of the day, it's made of dirt, and cool, literally, like cool. That's awesome. Um, it's sort of darken the parts that are under and enliven the parts that are outside. But for now, I'm actually really happy with this design that I have going. This inside part sort of looks a bit less than I would have liked it to, but that's only because I'm trying to maintain that there's like sort of this um that sort of like vertebra within it. Um and I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this layer up and I'm going to whiten the vertebra of the beast. And that should do. And then, of course, darken it again in the spots where it needs darkening. But then I add another layer behind this. So this is sort of like the stomach bowels, like the caves of the forest are behind this sort of nice open green spot because trees will only really flourish in sunlight. So this beast is constantly walking towards the sun when it can. So it sort of has these meandering sort of there and back sort of patterns to its walking. Um, I'm actually very happy with this design. It's not the greatest that I've made, of course, but it's definitely not bad. It's definitely not bad. I think for reference, I'm gonna make a little human here, and then go boom, make him a bit darker. So he is about 1.7 meters. Yeah, no, that's about right. That's about right. I'm of course going to, so as the sun goes this way, he runs, you know, that way. And as the sun goes that way, he runs that way. So, you know, always towards the sun. And I think that's going to do it for now. If you enjoyed, again, leave a like. If not, suck it, I guess. I don't know why you're still here, but you know, have a wonderful day and keep drawing, keep making stuff. No need to stop, you know. Can't stop, won't stop.